And I believe we're live. So, GM, everybody, um, this is Daniel reporting from Colombia today. And I have Samuel Sramko and Evan Vichy with me today from Tatum. Um, First, I guess I should talk a little bit about me and what I do and why we're doing this. And then I'm going to introduce Evan and Sam. So I work with community development and education at the Celo Foundation, and we're currently organizing a massive hackathon uh, with the goal of bringing DeFi and crypto to your mobile. This is one of those massive events with regional chapters. We have chapters in Latam, chapters in Brazil, Africa, India, China, Southeast Asia at least, and of course a global hackathon with close to $2.5 million in awards and funding. So a great opportunity for everyone. Great opportunity for someone who has a product idea in their brains and want to build a product in the Web3 space using Celo. We have pretty cool categories. DeFi, of course, on mobile, NFTs, NFT gaming, green or environmental, Web3 infrastructure, and interoperability, which is going to be a massive theme in the upcoming months. So great opportunity for anyone to check it out. I'm actually going to, I don't have it here prepared, but I'm going to look for the link for you, or if someone can help me, I'll otherwise I will paste the link in a bit. Before that, I guess I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Anna, saving me. I want to introduce Sam Sramko and Evan from Tatum. Sam is the CTO of Tatum, and Evan is the community lead, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Tatum is a great platform that is building infrastructure for Web3. I love Tatum because they are really making it easier for anyone that wants to build a product for Web3 that is perhaps not infrastructure, but they just want to focus on their product. They just want to focus on solving the needs of their user base. Tatum is great for that because they really help you kind of like managing all the layers of abstraction of a dApp. So there is a bunch of different use cases that people can build on Tatum. And I honestly really recommend going to their website and their blog. Their educational content is just like really high quality. So you will see today what Evan and Sam have prepared for us is insane. But you can basically go to their blog post, to their blog, and consume a bunch of their content if you want to really get into building for Web3. And with that, I perhaps Sam and Evan, if you would like to introduce yourselves, do a better job than the one that I did, talking about what you do, please.
You did great. Yeah. So I guess I'll start. Yeah, so I'm Evan. I'm the community manager at Tatum. I write a lot of the content. I'm just the guy to get the word out there. And Sam is our CTO. He made Tatum. So and he's going to be doing he's going to be showing you how to use everything. But first, I wanted to get into a little bit about like what Tatum actually is and what it might help you with. So we're a blockchain development platform, and we support 40 blockchain protocols, testnet and mainnet. And we make it so you don't really have to learn to code for each individual protocol, but you can build apps on any of them. So it's good for complete newbies to blockchain development, but it's also good if you're an experienced blockchain developer, because we also run the blockchain infrastructure for you. So we run the nodes. You don't have to run them. You don't have to install anything. This is, you can use them with a free plan. You don't have to pay for anything unless you start to scale your app and need more requests per second. So for the hackathon, if you do want to use our nodes, you can do so. We're going to have links in the chat. I'll put them in there in a second about where you can sign up for everything. We've also put together a tutorial which covers a lot of what we're going to be covering in this workshop, but Sam has a very ambitious program for us here, so I'm not sure everything's in the tutorial. He might actually do more in the workshop here. So yeah, we run the infrastructure for you. So if you already know a lot about blockchain development, you can just use our nodes. We also have a unified framework, so you can use our SDK or API. We have over 300 features in both, well, the same features, but different ways to communicate. And these allow you to perform blockchain operations on any supported blockchain, including Celo, without having to learn to code for the blockchain itself. We also have some interesting stuff that really speeds up the development process, like pre-built smart contracts. So instead of coding your own NFT smart contract, we've got one for you. You can deploy it instantly. The same goes for ERC20 tokens and ERC1155, like semi-fungible tokens. So those are all ready to go for you in Tatum. You can just deploy them with one API call and mint them with another. And we also have an interesting parallel layer to the blockchain called virtual accounts. And I think we'll probably get to this towards the end of our presentation today. So this is a parallel layer that it's not on the blockchain, but it is connected with the blockchain in a way. It allows you to scan multiple blockchain addresses automatically for incoming transactions. You can send instant feeless transactions between virtual accounts. And there's a lot of cool built-in features in there for building like exchanges or for enabling webhook notifications, for supporting fiat currencies. So it's a whole nother sort of layer and level of abstraction that's available in Tatum. So that's a broad overview of the platform. And today, what we're going to be getting into, well, first off, how to sign up for an API key and get started in Postman with our API. We're going to be using the API today because Postman's a really good tool to show it off, and yeah, it's faster and more sort of user friendly to do a demo with. But you can also use the SDK to perform the exact same operations. So yeah, we're going to show you how to sign up for it. We're also going to include all of these Postman calls that Sam uses. So literally everything he does is in a Postman collection, which will be in the guide, which I will link to in the chat. So you can download that collection. You'll have literally everything that Sam does in the presentation. We're going to show you how to connect to our nodes. So if you don't want to use any of our abstraction and just want to use our nodes, you can do that. And then you can turn off the presentation, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then we're going to show you some stuff for looking up blockchain data, filtering according to different parameters, finding transactions for different tokens, for different addresses. Then we're going to get into these pre-built smart contracts I talked about. So we're going to do ERC20 tokens, ERC721s, then how to upload metadata to IPFS. So these are your pictures or audio files or whatever you want to connect to the NFTs. IPFS is actually natively integrated in Tatum, and it's for free for files up to 50 megabytes. So you can use that. Then we're going to do a bit on the multi-tokens, those ERC1155s. They're kind of somewhere between fungible and non-fungible tokens, and you can use them for shared ownership NFTs, or they open up some possibilities, some cool possibilities for use cases. And then the last two things we're going to do, which are big features, and I hope we have time, but is the gas pump, the Tatum gas pump. And this is a really efficient way of dealing with custodial wallets. So if you're running any kind of an app where you hold your users' private keys, you need to pay for their transactions whenever they send tokens anywhere. And that's not that easy to do. But we've developed a way of using a smart contract as a user address that automatically deducts the gas fees from a master account. It really saves a lot of headache, and it also will save you a lot of gas fees, especially if you end up dealing with thousands of users. So it's a pretty big feature that we're really excited about. And then we're going to get into those virtual accounts I talked about and show you how to do some stuff with Celo in virtual accounts. So I'm going to link you to the guide, also link you to the Postman collection in the chat, and any other resources. And if you have some questions, you can ask them in there, or I think we're going to take questions after each little section. So, if you have anything, keep it in mind, and you'll definitely have a chance to ask Sam, and we'll try to answer as best we can. So It's going to be a lot, but I think we're going to have fun. And I guess, Sam, if you're ready, we can just jump right into the whole thing.
Before Sam starts, I guess I just wanted to say thank you so much for all these resources. We have a packed agenda. If you're not able to watch the entire video today, the entire live session, this is going to be recorded at the end. And we're going to link the written tutorial so you can follow on your own time. But thank you so much for creating this space, Sam and Evan and the Tatum team. I really appreciate it, and I know the community really appreciate it. Sam, please take it away. We're going to be in the backstage. You're not going to see us, but as soon as Sam finishes each one of his sections, I will come back to the stage and try to relay your questions to Sam. Okay? So good luck, Sam, and enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Evan. Hi, guys. So let's just jump right into it because we have a lot to cover, as Evan said. But let's start with just creating an API key and how to work with it, how to actually access our platform and do all the stuff I'm going to show you by yourself. So if you go to tatum.io, our webpage, there is a sign in on the right top, and you are redirected to Tatum dashboard. In the dashboard, you can sign up with any email you want to, and you can create up to 3 free API keys. You can choose I have reached the limit, but you can choose if you want to work on mainnet or testnet and the region with the API key, and then you are free to go. In the API key section, you will see the API key here. It's mainnet or testnet and the region you want to work with. You just click show and you will see the API key available. This API key should be passed to every HTTP request in the header of the request, and you will get authenticated. So dashboard.tatum.io, and you are free to go. You can sign up and just play around. But what's more fun is actually what we're going to do today. And as Evan said, we have a lot to cover. You can see I have prepared, I think, 7 or 8 sections or blocks I want to cover today for you. Each of the section is somehow interesting and important for you for building the apps. So very high level, what we're going to do today, first of all, we are going to create some wallets, addresses, fetching some data from the blockchain, current block, the block detail. We want to send some Celos or Celo dollars or Celo euros from one address to another. I'm going to show you how to use our Web3 driver so you can access the Celo node directly without any abstraction we provide. And at the end of the section, I'm going to show you how to easily interact with the smart contract. That's the first section, let's say the general one, just the generic stuff we are going to cover, most useful. Then we are going to focus on the tokens and working with the different tokens. As Evan said, we are going to work with fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, and semi-fungible tokens. I'm going to show you how to deploy, how to mint new tokens, transfer them between addresses, read some interesting information from the blockchain, like which transactions happened on this address for a specific token, etc., etc. So if you want to create some front end for your apps and show users their wallets, their balance, which transactions occur on their accounts, and which type of transactions occurs on their accounts, everything should be covered here in the token stuff. And then at the end, we have like 2, let's say, optional features. I don't know how we're going to be with the time. Is the gas pump, as Evan said, and the general working with the virtual accounts we have in the platform. The virtual accounts are actually quite interesting because they allows you to work with multiple different blockchains in exactly the same way. So you can create accounts for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Celo dollar, Ripple, or Stellar, or BNB, and you will use the same API calls and you will do the same integration. You'll just change the blockchain you want to work with. So it saves you a lot of headaches, but we'll get that. I hope we'll get that. So let's not waste any more time, and let's just jump right into the blockchain section. If you're not familiar with the Postman, this is the Postman. I have a profile. In the profile, I have set up two URLs. It's the URL of the region of the Tatum API. We are using the Europe one, and API key I'm going to use. I'm going to use the testnet API key. Every operation today will be performed on the AlphaHores testnet of Celo. In the headers, you can see that, or in the authorization section, you can see the HTTP header XAPI key is passed with the actual API key from the dashboard. So everything is set up, and let's just start with what we're going to do. First of all, if you want to start with building on a blockchain, you need to generate a wallet. Without wallets, you don't have anything. You can't work with accounts. You can't send transactions, receive transactions. So let's just start with the wallet. By wallet, we understand a combination of the mnemonic, an extended public key, where mnemonic is your secret to every address and every private key included in this wallet. One mnemonic can hold billions of addresses and private keys, and you just need one mnemonic to access them all. So it's quite convenient, it's quite handy, and you don't need to store millions of different private keys for your users, or your users don't have to do that. And from the mnemonic, you can generate wallets, the addresses or the private keys. Another part of the wallet call is XPub. That's the extended public key, and you can imagine it as a read-only generator of addresses. It's connected to the mnemonic, and from XPub, you can create only public addresses. There is no sensitive information hidden inside. So I'm not saying you should expose it. It's not a good practice to expose XPubs. There are some very bad things happen in the past when someone exposed XPub and private key and public key, and it was possible to find all the private keys. But from the perspective of the XPub itself, you can generate only addresses. So we have one API call, generate Celo wallet. You can see in the endpoint, it's v3/Celo/wallet. Every Celo operation is prefixed with a Celo in the Tatum API. Another step from the wallet is to generate an address, the concrete one blockchain address where you will be able to send and receive assets. So we use the XPub from the wallet call, and we pass an index of the address we want to create. We can create wallet number 0, you can create wallet number 1, or address number 1. You can create address number 100,000. There is completely different addresses from one XPub. The same applies to generate private key. Generate private key accepts the mnemonic, and again the index of the address you want to generate. So let's say I want to generate private key number 10,000, and this private key number 10,000 is connected to this address number 10,000. That's the way how this works. So generate wallet, XPub mnemonic. XPub is used for addresses, mnemonic is used for private keys. So perfect. What you can do right now, you can generate wallets for your users in your app. You can create addresses for them. Your users can send their money. So they can work with a blockchain in an easy way right now. What's another interesting operation we give you as API call is find the current block of the blockchain. So the current block right now for AlphaHores is almost 8 million. You can use that for anything. If you want to show your users if you're up to date with some internal state of the application, it's up to you how you will leverage this.
Sam, I'm sorry to interrupt. Your screen gets pixelated, it goes in and out. So one thing that could work is to just zoom in a little bit into what you're showing us. I feel like that's going to help with Command plus. Yeah, I feel like that can help us see what you're seeing.
Is this better?
Yeah, this is way better. Yes, and
okay.
Perhaps if you can stop sharing your screen and share again, just to see if the quality improves a tiny bit, because it looks pixelated for me.
Let's do it one more
In the
time.
meanwhile, I have a question. Will this replay on the Tatum YouTube channel?
What was the question? One more time, please.
Sebastian is asking us if you're going to replay this video on the Tatum YouTube channel.
Yes, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Once we will get the recording, it's going to be available on our YouTube as well.
Perfect. Now it looks great. Thank you, Sam.
Okay, so I will very quickly go over these 4 API calls I have shown before. Okay, so everyone will see what I was showing. So Postman, my region, my API key. I'm generating the wallet. The response from the generate wallet call is the mnemonic, and it's an extended public key. From extended public key, we can generate addresses. Extended public key and address number 10,000. From mnemonic, we can generate private key. So I can mnemonic an index of the private key. Get current block. It's just the get current block, and we see the actual state on the blockchain. And if we want to get the details of the block, we can use the get block by hash or height. You can pass anything. You can pass block hash or block height. It doesn't matter. We just handle that. And as a result, you can see the block data plus all the transactions that occurs in the block. That's quite nice. You can, if you want to do some kind of scanning by yourself, the blockchain on some interesting like transactions which are important to you, you can just do it by yourself. You can get the block with all the transactions included. What you can also do, you can grab a hash of the transaction and get the more specific information on the transactions. In the transaction API section I have here, there's the first endpoint, get transaction by hash. When we pass the transaction there, we will see again all the informations from the transaction. And the information includes the gas and the gas price, so everything included in the transaction, as well as the logs this transaction produces. So you can see all the informations which are available for regular blockchain transaction. So we can see the current block number, we can see the block detail, we can see the detail of the transaction. Very high level. In the API documentation of our platform, in the Celo section, there is much more endpoints than just this one. I just picked a couple of those, so you can see how it works. So right now, let's assume we generated a private key, we connected an address to that private key, we received some assets, and we want to send those assets away. We have a quite nice endpoint to send transaction from the blockchain address to another blockchain address, where you just enter the recipient you want to send assets to, currency you want to transfer. The currency could be Celo, could be Celo dollar, or could be Celo euro. Those two stable coins available on the Celo network. You said how much you want to send. You define the private key of the sender address, so from which account you want to send assets away, and the currency of the fee. So right, I'm gonna send Celo euro, and I'm gonna pay with Celo dollar for a transaction cost. When we hit send, the result of the operation will be transaction ID. We can grab this transaction ID and just open the Alpha Horace Explorer. And when we look for a transaction, we can see that we have transferred 0.09 Celo euro from my sender account to recipient account, and we have paid in the Celo dollar to the blockchain. So you can use any combination. You can send Celo dollar and pay fee with Celo euro or Celo. It's up to you how you want to work with that. It's perfectly up to you. So very nice and convenient way how to send the transaction. The don't be afraid that there is a private key here in the endpoint. This is just for demo purposes or for a quick prototyping. We don't want to receive your private keys. There are much better solutions how to manage private keys. You can use our SDKs where transactions are assigned locally. For some custodial projects, we run Tatum KMS, which is a key management system which manages all your private keys on your end locally, so you don't send the mnemonics or private keys on our end. So we have multiple options, and I'm just doing it here like this for quick demo and quick prototyping, which is perfectly fine. You can easily prototype. You don't care about the security as much because you just want to play around. And once you go live, you just choose the best way of security. So we have sent assets from one address to another. And the last two calls in this section is how to use the Web3 driver. It's basically REST RPC endpoint to a Celo node where you can work like natively with the node using the Web3. For everybody to use it, you just need to put API key as a URL path parameter and just communicate with the node and invoke any methods you want to invoke. So let's just check the version of the node, and we can see that we are running on the Celo 1.4.0 node. You can pass again any Web3 method you are used to from other projects. So we have the Web3 here available. If there is some operation we don't support as abstraction, because this one, for example, get current block or get block or send transaction, are way of abstraction of the RPC Web3 API for you. So if we don't have abstraction for you, you require it, you can always go down, and you can always just invoke the direct Web3 call. And the final piece here is the communication with the smart contract. We know that working with smart contract is quite painful. Also for Web3 developer, you just need to do all the stuff. This is, let's say, one step forward to the simplification of that. And we have created again a universal endpoint where you just put the contract address you want to communicate with. You put the method you want to invoke on a smart contract. You need to paste the ABI of the method and parameters. Right now, we are going to use the balance of method on the, I believe this is Celo Euro contract on the blockchain, so ERC20 token. And I want to see how much of Celo Euro I own on this particular address. So let's just invoke that, and we can see that I own 6 point, etc., some small decimals. We are always returning the data in the most, let's say, native form as possible in these smart contract calls. So it's up to you to do all the decimal computations and all the other stuff you need, because we don't know how you want to see that. We just give you the raw data. We read from the smart contract, or we write to the smart contract. So just to sum it up, we can create wallets, we can scan the blocks, we can see the transaction details, we can send transactions to other accounts, we can use the Web3, and we can communicate with smart contracts of any kind. So that's the end of the first section. And Daniel, if there were any questions, now it's the best time.
If you have a question, please post it in the ask a question section or on the chat. But Sam, we don't have any questions so far.
Perfect.
So you're free
to
continue.
After the next section. Okay. for these ones. Perfect. So this was, let's say, the very, very intro to the Celo and to the Tatum and how we think you can work actually, and how we can help you with building apps. But what's the biggest point? Usually people don't want to just send transactions, send Celos. They don't want to read the blocks. They just want to do some, let's say, more advanced stuff. Usually they want to integrate some ERC20 token. They want to work with NFTs. They want to work with a combination of ERC20 and 7 to 1. They want to store something on IPFS, and just some real life examples. Usually you need something like that. We know that when people start building on any blockchain, this could be very confusing. How to learn solidity, what's the good practices, what the security practices, etc., etc. And usually at the end of the day, everyone is building the same contract. From 90 to 95%, the features there are exactly the same for anyone. Yes, there is some kind of add-ons for each project, but usually you can cope with that. You can just use some kind of prepared template and then do your stuff out of the blockchain. Why not? It could be, or just create another very specific smart contract for just a small piece of functionality. So what we've done on our side, we have just grabbed the template for the fungible tokens for 7 to 1s and 1155s. We added some features or functionalities which are important and quite nice and handy, and just allow you to deploy it. Deploy in one API call. You can create your ERC20 contract. You can create your NFT contract. You can create your 1155 contract from our template out of the box. One API call. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to learn solidity. You don't have to work with Remix and anything else. It's just there. You can use it. If you need some specific stuff, go ahead, create your own contract. You can always communicate it with the call smart contract method of the API. But right now, let's just take a look to the ERC20s. We can see there is a little bit more arguments in the deploy section. And right now, we are going to create our own ERC20 fungible token. We are going to create a token which name is Tatum demo token. You can do whatever you want. You place any symbol you want. You define address of the initial recipient of the initial supply of the tokens. If you want, you don't have to mint any initial supply during deployment, but usually you want to have some initial supply, for example, 1,000 or 1 million. It's up to you. And this address would be the recipient of this initial supply. Then there are two values here. Supply, which is required, means how much tokens you will actually mint. And the total cap means how much tokens can be ever minted. So total cap must be always greater than or equal to the supply. So you know that you will need 1 billion of tokens, never more. But right now you just need 100 million. So you'll just mint 100 million and you cap it with a 1 billion cap. This is the total cap. Then you can put how many digits, how many decimal places you want in your as a smallest unit. Usually the standard is 18. Some USDT or stable coins have 6. But 18 is standard. We can do. Let's go with 18. Right now we are touching, let's say, more of an abstraction of Tatum. This is not a Celo specific endpoint. This is a generic endpoint to deploy any token. And one of the chains where you can deploy this fungible token is Celo. If you want, you can deploy ERC20 token to Ethereum, to Binance, to Algorand, to Elrond, to Tron, basically to any supported blockchain we have. So for those of you who want to build cross-chain or multi-chain apps and want to support Celo and something else in the future, this is the way how you can do exactly the same integration in your application. And you know that anytime we add a new blockchain, you know that if there are fungible tokens, this is the endpoint. This is the way how you will work with them. So it's perfectly capable of handling any changes in the future of your application. So we are working with the Celo. We are paying the fee in Celo dollars, and let's just generate a ERC20 token. The result of the operation is again the transaction ID on the blockchain. We can check that out on the Explorer. And we can see that we have created a new contract and we have minted 100 million of TDTs to the initial recipient. Perfect. From the API perspective, we have API call to get smart contract address from a transaction ID. So if you want to do it like programmatically and want to generate a lot of ERC20s from your app, you can obtain the address of the contract from the API call. Just a small utility function, but very handy for people who want to do this programmatically. So we have the contract address, and right now we are able to transfer these assets to someone else. So the contract address will be the address of the token we want to transfer. This is the recipient, amount of the tokens we want to transfer, amount of the digits. So how many digits has the token we are transferring, chain we are working on. This is again an abstract endpoint from our perspective, fee currency, and the private key. So I believe I have transferred the tokens to the 80D8. Perfect. So the contract address, this is the address of the token we have created. I want to transfer, let's say, 100 of the tokens. I believe we have deployed a token with 18 digits, so digits must be 18. This is the address of the owner, of the holder of the TDTs, and this is the new recipient, so let's transfer them. Let's transfer those 100 somewhere else. Again, result is the transaction ID. In general, everything which modifies the state of the blockchain results in a transaction ID, and you can get the details of the transaction later. And we can see that we have transferred 100 TDTs from 80 address to 101. Again, very nice abstraction. Right now, we are gonna show you how to actually fetch the list of the transactions which happens on a specific address. For example, right now in your application, you are showing the blockchain address to your user, and you are working with these fungible tokens TDT, and you want to show them the history, what has happened on his address, what was the incoming tokens, what was the outgoing tokens, what was the operations that basically happened. So in the transaction API section, we have a nice endpoint of get ERC20 transactions by address. This is again abstract endpoint. So chain we are working on is Celo. Contract address is the address of the token we want to search for a transaction, and the address is the address on which we want to see the transactions. So we are passing our 80 address, and we should see two operations. First operation is the initial mint of the tokens. So we can see that we have received 100 million of the TDTs from a minter to myself in this transaction. And next operation is we have sent 100 of TDTs from myself to someone else. Very nice, very handy. Everything is prepared for you. Just grab it and show it to your user. So we can deploy, we can transfer, we can list the addresses. Again, we have more operations. We have mint of the tokens. We have burn of the ERC20 as well, but I don't want to show it today. Everything is in the documentation. So again, if we have any questions, Daniel, there is a right time to answer.
Let me check. I don't believe we have any questions so far. So I feel like you can continue.
Perfect. So I believe everything is so simple that everyone understands that. I'm super excited. Perfect. So this was the ERC20s. These days, this is boring stuff. Basically, everyone is doing ERC20s. You can use ERC20s as as let's say virtual points for users, or as a stable coin for your app or anything else. But you can see a couple of API calls and you can do basically everything. In next two sections, we are going to cover the NFTs. We are going to cover non-fungible and semi-fungible tokens. I believe most of you know the difference, but for those who don't, the non-fungible tokens, or ERC-721s, are the type of tokens where there is only one unique token in the blockchain ever created. So one token represents one specific unique item. The semi-fungible tokens, or 1155s, you can have one specific token ID or one specific token, but you are actually saying how many of the copies, let's say the copies or items of this token exists out there. So if you are creating really a unique stuff and you want to have only one in the world, you will use 721s. If you are creating, for example, editions of cards or some sports stuff, or I don't know, images or videos, you usually do 1155s because you're creating 100 copies of that specific token. So that's the difference. But in general, these tokens could represent anything. It could represent the image as you would expect. It could be video. From a gaming perspective, it could be item in a game, for example, some sword or shield or some specific stuff for the game. But what's powerful about NFTs in a game is if you have it on a blockchain, in one game, the NFT could mean something. And in another game, the same NFT could mean something else or give you more skills or more mana or whatever. But you can create these kind of cross-game NFTs and cross-game items, which will be applicable in multiple games, which will obviously be much more valued at the end of the day for the players. But you can represent whatever you want. You can do, I believe you know what you're doing, but let's just show you how this all is actually doable in Tatum. But as a prerequisite, there is IPFS section. IPFS, for sure you know it. Interplanetary file system is a decentralized storage out there, and you can store basically any data on the IPFS connected to your NFTs forever for free. And we are partnering up with NFT storage. We've partnered up with NFT storage for that. So thank you guys from NFT storage for enabling every developer to just store data on the IPFS easily. And we will show you when we will mint the tokens how to work with IPFS. So let's start with NFTs, with the non-fungible ones, 721s. Again, this is abstraction endpoint NFT/deploy, where Celo is one of the supported chains. Fee currency, private key, everything is exactly the same as before. We just choose the symbol of the token and name which will appear on the blockchain, and we just hit deploy. And voila, our NFT token is out there available. We grab the transaction ID, we put it to the alfajores, so we will actually see that it's there. We have created a new contract. Again, get smart contract address, our handy utility function. We can grab the contract address programmatically. It's working. And we are here. We are going to mint something. Minting means creating new token. So we are working on Celo. The private key should be the private key of the deployer, because deployer is automatically a minter. Not anybody or not anyone can mint the token on your contract, on your specific accounts on the blockchain, which has a role minter applied to them. You can add multiple minters, but only the deployer can add the minter, but then minter can mint the tokens in the future. So right now we didn't add any minter, we just work with the default one. We will mint the token number 1. We are going to work with our NFT. We will mint the token to this recipient. And what is this? This is the URL. Every NFT in a 7-to-1 world has a URL associated with the token, and this URL points to the metadata which describes the token. It describes the name, the image, or other properties you want to attach to that blockchain. And that URL is passed to the blockchain, to the token, and it's that. You are not storing the data actually on the Celo for the NFT or Ethereum or anything else. You are just storing the URL of the scheme which describes the actual data, and this URL we're gonna do with the IPFS stuff. So in the IPFS store data operation, we can. This is the request. We want to post new. Let's use image right now. This is the multi-part form data request, and we are going to choose the data we are going to store to the blockchain. I believe I have prepared the scheme here. I have prepared the scheme JSON, where you can see that the scheme contains name, description, and image. I don't know if you see it correctly, but let's just open it up. In a more bigger way. Scheme. And let's zoom in. If I can. I don't think I can, but let's do it like this. I don't think I can zoom in. Don't worry, I don't care. So we can see name, we can see description, we can see the image, which is again URL to another IPFS URL, which points to a specific image we have uploaded before. So if we want to, first of all, we need to upload the image, then we'll upload the scheme, which contains the URL of that image. And then the token is there, and we just upload the scheme, and the result is the IPFS CID. It's an identifier on the IPFS network. And during the mint, we use the CID as the URL stuff here. Perfect, and let's just mint new token on the Celo network. Another transaction ID. Let's check it in Explorer, and we can see that we have minted token number 1 in the collectible ERC. Perfect. We have 1 token created. That's like the regular NFT stuff. But what we can do as well, and what we have added on top of the regular stuff in the ERC, in the ERC721 contract, we have added mint multiple tokens endpoint. So you can basically batch mint a lot of tokens at once in one transaction. You can mint it to different recipients. You can mint different URLs to different token IDs. You can see it's quite a lot. And when we just hit send, we have minted in one operation, I don't know how many. We have I haven't passed the correct address of the contract here. Sorry for that. Let's just find it here. Perfect. Let's mint one more time. We can see that we have minted, I don't know, like 30 tokens probably in this transaction right now. So let's check that. And yes, we can see that we have minted so many tokens to recipients with different token IDs in just one operation. So this will save you a lot of headaches if you want to like mint a lot of stuff quite fast. For example, our pool, Ruben has a nice talk yesterday. They have to mint so many tokens for every sign up of their user, and they need to mint like 100,000 of tokens like in a week, and that's really a lot of stuff. So without the batch mint, it would It will take quite a lot of time to process that. With batch mint, if you can mint like 200 or 300 tokens in one operation, it's quite nice, and you can mint it quite fast without any troubles. So we can mint multiple tokens, and then we can transfer the token from owner to someone else. Let's transfer it to this guy, and we are transferring token number 1. The result again is a transaction ID, nothing which should surprise us. And you can see that we have transferred token from myself to some random guy. That's nice. We can work with that. We can move the tokens. We can mint the tokens. What we can do as well is we can find the metadata, the URL connected to a specific token. So we need to pass the contract address, ID of the token, and we can see the metadata available here. And from the transaction API perspective, we can also do a lot of like nice stuff. We can list all ERC721 transactions by one address. So we pass the address of the contract address. We want to see the transaction, and we can see that we have a lot of transactions because we have minted so many tokens here that there is so many token IDs. So we can see again from the minter, we have minted token ID to someone on this contract address in this transaction. So that's nice. What we can also do, we can list the transactions for a specific token. So if you go to the detail of the token, for example, here on the Explorer, you can see that token number 1 has 2 transfers, the mint and then transfer from A to B. The same operation we give you here. We give you 2 operations, give you the mint, and we give the transfer of the token. So if you want to build some kind of Explorer in your application, this page is basically one API call here. You don't have to scan anything. We do that for you out of the box. End of the block. Daniel, do we have anything?
Yes, there is a question. How can you find the gas fee and adjust it? How can I adjust it so it is slower or faster?
Every operation, like the write operation, has optional fee section where you just can pass your own gas limit. I don't know, let's say 100K, and you can pass your own gas price as well. For example, 1 GWh or 50 GWh, it depends. This is in GWh, this is in like gas units. And as well, we have API call where you can estimate the gas price and gas limit for specific operations, where you can just call and it gives you, for minting NFT, you should use 100K gas limit, and gas price for Celo is 2. We have that as well. I didn't show it here, but it's available.
Cool. I had a question about storage. So you currently support IPFS. Wondering if you are planning or if you support other types of storage like Arweave or yeah.
Yeah, it's in our pipeline to support Arweave as well. And we are always trying to add new features based on the community requirements and requests. So right now the IPFS was just fine for the people, even if it's for free, like it's perfect stuff. You don't have to pay anything. Your data are there. But yes, Arweave is in the roadmap for us for in the next year, and we want to extend the possibilities of storing the data.
Good.
At the end of the day, we have, sorry for that, but we have an endpoint where you can store the data on the Celo directly as well.
Yeah.
So you can store data on Celo directly, but I don't think it's efficient enough.
I see. There is a follow-up question to the gas fee question. So, so you can program a loop using the estimate API waiting for a cheaper moment to mint?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you show us how you do something like that?
Oh, let me find the estimate call. Fee estimation. Not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Let me open the API doc. Every of the API operation is available in our API doc section in Tatum.io/API doc. And the estimate stuff is hidden inside the blockchain utils section on the left side. And the API doc is quite big. And you can choose, I don't know if you see it, so I'm going to zoom in. You can again choose the chain you want to work with and the operation you want to estimate the gas cost, for example, mint NFT or transfer NFT for Celo, and you get the result. You get the result for a gas limit and the gas price you should use. So you can choose different type of operations in one API call. Just estimate for Celo for deploying, and you see the result.
Awesome. I think those are the questions for now. Sam, thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. So let's jump into the ERC 1155s. I believe those are gonna be a little bit faster because we already know what's ERC 721. So 1155 shouldn't be a huge thing. The difference between 1155s and 721s is that you are passing the URL to the deploy operation, because for 1155s you have one URL for all the tokens internally, and you should distinguish by the separator in the URLs, for example ID, and every client should automatically transform this ID in the URL based on the token you are searching for to a URL like the final one. So for example, if we have token number 1, the final URL would be this one, token 100, 1000, etc., etc. It's gonna be like this. So you don't use any collection name, any symbol, nothing. You just do the pure deploy on the chain from a private key. As usual, transaction ID of the operation, we can fetch the address of the smart contract, and we can mint some tokens. This is exactly the same stuff, We have a recipient there, and we have right now, we are going to mint token number 1, and we are going to mint 10 copies of that token. So there's going to be 10 units of token number 1. In the future, you can mint more. You can mint another 10 token number 1. So we have 20 token number 1s, basically, or 20 editions of the same token. You can mint basically indefinitely. It's just up to you how much you want to mint. You can, if you will basically mint 1, this will be ERC 721, like from the principles. But let's just mint 10 tokens number 1s to the recipient. We will see the transaction ID as a result. We also have a mint multiple. So you can mint multiple tokens to multiple recipients. So let's mint token number 1, token number 2, and we will mint 10 and 20 units to the recipients, exactly the same principles here. And again, we can transfer one edition or one unit of token number 1 to someone else. Same applies to transfer multiple. We are going to transfer 1 unit of 1, 1 unit of 2, to a new recipient. What we can see here as well, we can see how many tokens number one has the address of a specific contract. But what's more interesting, I believe, is again get 1155 transactions by address. So let's use this contract address, what we have created, and let's check the address DB2. I don't know if we have anything there. No, because we were transferring to this one. Sorry for that. Okay, so we can see that we have received something, we have sent something away. So again, exactly the same type of API calls and same type of data available here. So we are constantly adding new interesting these read operations. We are working on a get tokens by address, where you will list any ERC721 or 20 or 1155 tokens that one address holds, and another interesting stuff for you. So I believe this is to be done in the near future. Plus, we are planning to work on a huge GraphQL endpoints where we will be able to basically filter out anything from our database where we store all this information and metadata. This is planned for first quarter in 2022. So a lot of read stuff will be available for you. So again, any questions, Daniel?
I don't see any questions, but this is super cool. Thinking a lot about using NFTs to reward community. This is a great, like the POAP, for example, POAP tokens.
Yeah.
This is an exciting use case. So looking at like game design and play to earn games, I feel like this is exactly what users should start researching and learning from. So thank you so much.
Guys, just be aware these 1155 operations are not, let's say, available in a readable format in the Explorer. Basically, only Ethereum and the Etherscan has that data like available properly. And so right here, you will just see the raw stuff and raw logs from that. So it's not in a nice readable way. So just the tip. So don't be afraid. It's not lost. It's in the blockchain. You can see that by our endpoints, but it's not available on Alpha. Horizon also on mainnet. I don't think guys from Celo has that available right now.
Good clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, just so everyone is on board that it really happened. Perfect. And I think we have a lot of stuff covered. And let's just do very, very quickly the virtual accounts, because I think they are quite nice feature. And we'll see. We'll do the gas pump as well, because the type is quite fast and my voice is starting to be to be tired, but we'll see. Okay, so virtual accounts. As I said at the beginning, we have a completely this all the endpoints I have shown you right by now were really a nice abstraction endpoints. You can work with multiple chain and do the same operations on multiple chains using the same APIs, just change a chain. Perfect, that's great. But we have gone much further than that. We have created a whole separate, I don't want to call it a side chain, but it basically is a side chain managed by Tatum on our end, where you can create virtual accounts for basically any blockchain, any currency, and approach the different chains in the same way, which means you can create a new account, which is basically a holder somewhere or a place on our end where you say this account has a Celo dollar currency. I'm creating accounts for Celo dollar right now. We can create accounts for Celo. We can create accounts for Bitcoin. We can create accounts for XRP. We can create accounts for XLM, for BNB, whatever we support, you can create these virtual accounts for. In the same way, you will do all other operations. And the biggest benefit for virtual accounts is that you don't have to take care of notifications or scanning the blockchain. When there is a transaction coming to your virtual account, coming to the address connected to your virtual account, we just grab that. We update the balance of the virtual account and send you the webhook notification that something has happened. We do it for every chain we support, and we do it in the same way. Plus, if you, for example, operate on multiple blockchain addresses, you can connect multiple blockchain addresses to just one virtual account, and it will hold the overall balance over all of that. For example, for Celo, it doesn't make sense. But if you work with Bitcoin or other UTXO chains, where you need to generate a new deposit address for each incoming transaction because of the security perspective, at the end of the day, you can work with, I don't know, 100,000 different blockchain addresses, and the balance of all of them are just aggregated in one virtual account, and you can see all the transactions connected to any blockchain address for that specific virtual account, which is super great. It's super powerful, and it saves you a huge amount of time and money, of course, because of from the integration perspective, it takes some time. And we have a lot of projects. Basically, all of our projects who are working with multiple blockchains are leveraging this feature. So let's just create a new virtual account for Celo dollar. We connect extended public key to this account. From this extended public key, we will generate and connect specific blockchain addresses to this virtual account. Once we create an account, nothing is actually happening on the blockchain. This is just the data from our side, from Tatum, where you can see we create account. There is different balance account and available. You can see that account is active, it's not frozen. We have created some customer internally because we have attached the customer stuff here, and you can group multiple accounts under one specific customer. So you can imagine it as a wallet. When you are building a wallet on your end, you are handling 10 different blockchains, for example, Bitcoin, Celo dollar, or Ethereum or Tether. You are creating multiple accounts for one specific user, and this user represents a customer, and you can access all those data from customer perspective, like in one API call. But we have created account. We can create the webhook subscription for this account, and we will receive the notification about every incoming blockchain transaction. This is the URL of the server where the communication will be sent. I use this webhook site. It's a nice site where you can generate for 24 hours. Side which will accept the requests. So it's really nice for testing and playing around. You can see I have here webhooks from yesterday where I was preparing this demo. I have received the webhook that I have incoming deposit of 0.1 Celo dollar for this transaction in this block. So everything you need to know. So we can enable the subscription, and we are actually need to create new address on the blockchain and assign it to this ledger account. So what we do, we just pass the ID of the account. Again, super abstract. There is no blockchain specific stuff here. Everything is abstracted away. So if the account is for Bitcoin, you just pass the ID and it's like that. And you can see that we have created address. This is the blockchain address where we can send assets to. We can use the faucet, for example. We can use the faucet. We will fund our testnet account. We can attach more addresses to one account. We have created 3 blockchain addresses connected to one virtual account right now, and deposits of all of these addresses will be automatically assigned to account. So let's do deposit for another address connected to a previous account. Perfect. And we have a nice endpoint to get account by ID, so we can actually see what's happening with the account, what's the current status. We haven't processed the incoming deposit yet. There is slight delay between the actual transaction, and once we detect that and adjust the balance. And what we can also do, we can list all the transactions for a specific account. I will show you right now the deposits from the yesterday. I was preparing that I have a deposit of Celo dollar with $0.1 attached to an account with this ID. This is the transaction ID from the blockchain. This is the address where the assets were sent. We automatically calculate the current fiat value of the transaction based on the configuration of your account. You can see in the create new account, we were adding the accounting currency as a parameter here. So we define with this euro that every transaction that occurs on that account will be automatically calculated to the fiat of the euro. So we can see that this incoming deposit was for this number of euros. We can see some withdrawals because I was doing withdrawal. I was sending assets away from the blockchain address somewhere else. Again, the same stuff applies. We can maybe get the detail of the account. Oh yeah, right now we have balance of 20 Celo dollars for this account. We can see in the list of transaction that we really have 2 blockchain deposits here, 2 for 10, and we should have the webhook fired 2 times that we have accepted 10 Celo dollars and another 10 Celo dollars. So this is again perfectly abstracted for you. You can work the same way with these couple of API calls with any blockchain you want to work, or with any ERC tokens on a Celo. You can work with Celo, euro, Celo dollar. Just do the accounting correctly and just work with that. You don't have to scan by yourself. You don't have to do anything. It's just there. It's live. What we can do as well, we can send out the money from my account ID to some blockchain address. We are going to send 0.1 Celo dollars. We are going to pay with Celo for the fee, and we just perform the operation on a blockchain. Result is, again, transaction ID, which when we check what's up, we can see that we have sent $0.1 somewhere else. Oh, quite fast. I hope it wasn't too much. But if we have any questions, then please let's just do that.
No questions. No questions. You can keep going.
Okay. Guys, if you have any questions in the future after a couple of hours, you can feel free to join our Discord or Telegram channel and ask there. We will be happy to answer anything we'll have, or once we will do the integration or playing around with the API and something is not clear, don't be shy, just ask. We are always there for you.
Perhaps on that note, Evan, if you can hear me, can you please paste the link to the Discord channel, the Tatum Discord channel?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's do the gas pump finally. I promise it won't take more than 5 minutes, but this is again a super nice feature. As Evan said, if you want to work with maybe with the NFTs or ERC tokens, and you are a custodial provider, so you are a custodial application, so you are in charge of the private keys of your users. You are generating addresses for them so they can do the deposit of the NFTs, they can do the withdrawals of the NFTs, but every operation requires a gas. You need to pay for a gas for the transaction. If you have 10 addresses, it's just fine. You just send there, I don't know, one Celo, and it's fine for, I don't know, 1 million transactions for the rest of the life of that address. But if you have 1 million users, or if you had 100 million of users, and you need to manage these gas costs connected to the transfers, this is a huge pain. This is a huge pain. You need to create basically a completely different product just for your back office, for your internal processes. Which address is topped up? Which address has not enough funds to send something away? Which addresses must be like funded to enable like normal operation of that? And this is extremely expensive. This is extremely inefficient. So what we have created, right, for you, we have created a special type of smart contract where it can accept basically any asset. It can accept Celo, it can accept ERC20s like Celo dollar or Celo euro. It can accept NFTs in a way of 1155 or 7 to 1s. And it can transfer out those assets to someone else or do any or approve of those operations or do whatever you want. But the gas will be paid from one specific private key. So we have one private key in your whole application, which is in charge of, let's say, 100 million of addresses. And only that one private key will be debited for a transaction cost. Only that one private key will be responsible for any operation. Why I'm saying that? Yes, it's only for custodial providers. For a DeFi world, I don't think it makes sense. For some specific use cases, yes, but it's a really nice, cool stuff. What we give you the power to create these kind of smart contracts for your users, and you can create them in a batch mode. So you can create 200 of that custodial smart contracts out there for 200 of your users in one operation, and you just set the owner of the address. The owner is basically the address who will manage them in the future and who will be responsible for paying for a transaction cost. So let's just create a 200 addresses. It's a lot, but for example, again, Everardpool is using this feature and they need to create thousands of these addresses. And there are so many other projects who want to work as a custodial ones who need to take care of this feature. So let's check the transaction ID. You can see that we have consumed like 14 million gas in this operation. But what we have created 200 specific addresses in the blockchain, the contract ones. When you do the calculations, you will find out that, for example, we have used 14 million gas units and we have created 200 addresses. So one contract costs you like 70,000 gas unit. One ERC transfer, ERC20 transfer is somewhere around 40 to 50 based on the token. So the cost of the custodial address is, let's say, 1.5 operation of ERC transfer, which is quite cheap. And if we imagine, for example, that your users will do 5, 10, 50, 100 operations with ERC tokens, you need to fund them so many times that this feature will be like very quickly paid off. But it's just, you can read out on our blog about it. But we have created these 200 addresses. We have, again, handy endpoint to get all of these transactions, not on Matic, it's on Celo. And we have created these 200 addresses in this one call. And you can just assign these addresses as deposit addresses for your users. And if we mint the token to this address, for example, let's mint 7 to 1, token number 11. I think I have wrong contract address here. I think I have wrong contract address here. I don't know why. Or maybe I have already existing token. Let's try this one. Yes. So we have minted the token 101 to a specific custodial address. We can take a look on the Explorer what it actually is. We have minted a token to a specific address. Okay, this address, you can see that it's a contract address, not a regular one, but holds only one NFT. It doesn't hold any Celo, it doesn't hold any Celo dollar or Celo euro. It just owns one NFT. And let's transfer this token away from this custodial address. There is again, this is all abstracted away as NFTs. So we are working on a Celo. The contract type is 1, which represents internally the 7 to 1s. We are transferring token 101. We are transferring this is the address of the NFT. So this is the contract address of the NFT. This is the contract address of the custodial one. So from which address we are actually want to swipe the token 101, where, and this is the private key of the owner of this address. And from this private key, we will pay the gas cost. So let's send it away and check the transaction. I believe this will be the last one I'm going to show you. And you can see that we have sent token 101 from address 46 to the recipient, but the gas cost was paid by the 80 address because we have nothing on the 46 address. So this is really, 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 really nice feature. And you can basically move around all the tokens out there on different addresses between the addresses and pay everything from one place. That's what gas pump is. And I'm basically done and happy to answer any question.
Sam, this last feature, the gas pump, is insane to me. I feel like it has so much potential in terms of user experience when you are in the capacity to be the custodial address, right? Or your project is.
Yep.
And I can imagine some use cases for this, but I wanted to ask you that question. How are you seeing people using this particular feature?
When we announced internally to our community that we are working on that, it was like the celebration because basically anyone requires this because this is so powerful. If you imagine really a huge app with hundreds or millions of users, it's basically impossible to manage that like in a regular way, to manage all the private keys, to manage which address is not funded, where you need to send, how much, if there is some dust missing somewhere. And yes, Celo is very cheap blockchain from the transaction cost perspective. But if you imagine how Ethereum is expensive, where a transaction can cost $10 or $15, and you need to manage all that and just do some kind of random top-ups to the addresses, it's really insane. And basically any custodial application being built on top of us are hungry for this and are really, really, really enjoying this because you can do a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, so much potential. I'm thinking a lot about non-for-profit work where like you want to send donations to a big number of beneficiaries and people who are potentially not tech savvy. My understanding is that with this, people do not need to kind of like save their seed phrase or anything like that. You can manage the accounts for them, right?
Yeah, exactly. For example, we have a lot of NFT marketplaces are actually leveraging that because they want to do that for the people and they want as smooth experience for the common people as possible. And if you are required to connect your MetaMask or start working with a MetaMask and just ask some random Joe somewhere who's untouched with crypto, just set up a MetaMask. You need to buy Celo somewhere on Binance or Coinbase, transfer it. He's lost. He's basically lost, and he just don't do anything.
Yeah, that's a huge barrier, and this simple feature is solving for that, which is insane.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the type of feature that people are going to want to use, especially when they're working in regions that are not the States or Europe, where like most of the technology is getting built, and people are often more just like more aware of how technology works, how crypto works. So for those projects in different regions, Global South, I think that this is very, very interesting. So you said you're done, right?
Yeah, I have shown
Yeah.
everything I prepared. We have so many like nice stuff out there. We have NFT marketplace ready for you, like from the smart contract perspective. We have NFT auctions. We have order books. We have so many stuff, but no, we have like hour and a half. I'm quite done, and I believe we can do it any more time, or we have a lot of videos again on our YouTube channel, and people can just watch that and see that how it works.
No, I really appreciate how you walked us through Postman, how you can use all the different calls. Very, very simple, very easy to follow. And thank you so much again, Sam.
You're welcome.
And Evan is back. Thank you, Evan, also for
back.
your help and support.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sam did the marathon today. I think this is a new record, but that was awesome. I just wanted to wrap up because we mentioned all these places where we've got more stuff. So I'm going to post them into the chat now, and it's a lot of links. So I'll just tell you what they are. But in case you missed it, we've got a tutorial with a lot of the stuff from the workshop. Of course, Sam went into a lot more detail than the tutorial is, but most of the calls are there. We've got the Postman collection. You do have to load this into Postman, so you can import it as a collection from that URL. We've got our Tatum YouTube. We've got a lot more tutorials on there, and we're filming a lot more now. So lots of individual features, and then like full workshops for NFT marketplaces and the crypto exchanges on there. Lots of different stuff. Then there's the API documentation. Again, all the API calls are there, and we've got lots more tutorials and guides in our documentation and our blog. So this is pretty much where all of our stuff is. Oh, and then probably our website. Is a good place to go too. So this is where you can find everything Tatum. So in case you want to follow up on any of this, and we're going to be posting this on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch back, you can do that there. So that's all I got.
Cool. Let me just also reiterate the invitation to apply to the hackathon. This is the last link I'm sharing here. As you saw, building something with Tatum is super easy. Building a proof of concept is just like a no-brainer. So use Tatum to present your idea and apply to the hackathon. It's just a great opportunity for you to create a community, for you to start a project to start building a project on Web3. So with that. Evan and Sam, thank you so much. I hope, I know it's late for you, so I hope you can rest now. I really appreciate all the resources you offered to the community today. So I hope I can see you again soon. Otherwise, goodbye.
Thank you, Daniel. Goodbye, guys. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.